Alright, back again. That's the thing here with the new one. And in this video, I'm just gonna give my take on the whole, never giving up and anything is possible type of mentality. And first off, I like to say, it is a nice mantra and, it's a good mantra, but it isn't, or it shouldn't be something that's applied universally in like every situation, because like when it comes to anything is possible, yes, that's theoretically true essentially, and the problem is that just because something is possible, it doesn't mean it's probable. And I think that's the issue, and that's the thing that people are leaving out. People have different capabilities, even though we have the same abilities. There's differences among everyone. People are more equipped or better off in certain circumstances and dealing with certain things than other people. And so, you kind of have to play to your strength. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't, do things that you're not good at, but it means that when you're working on them, it's about working smart, not hard. People like to say work hard. I'm like, I'd rather work smart. You don't want to end up never giving up on something that is going to, really consume your time, consume, resources, like frivolously. It's gonna have a toll on your mental health, your physical health, and your just overall well-being. It's gonna sacrifice efforts that you could be putting towards something that is more probable that you are good at, that you can get a better return on, as well as have like higher contributions to, as opposed to something that it's kind of like really out there. It's like kind of unattainable and just virtually it's impossible. It would be a different story. Never giving up would be a different thing if, one, time was infinite, like your time on this earth was infinite, and two, resources were also infinite. Then yeah, okay, never giving up, it would make sense. Like if you say want to get a vertical jump of 70 inches but you're at 15, and say you've been training 5 years but you've only been able to do like 1 inch in 5 years, then it's going to take you 275 years to make it to that 70-inch goal. So I mean, realistically, that's unattainable. We don't have 275 years. But if time was endless, then I mean, sure, theoretically, yeah, it is possible. It is probable as well, So in that case, it's like, yeah, okay, never giving up, sure, it makes sense. But that's not the reality that we live in, So you have to be smart with your time that you have. You have to be able to realize what's worth it. And that's something that, only you would be able to really, honestly say, it's like, because it's very hard for someone else to put a value on what you're doing. You can only do that. You can only really do that and say that, okay, is this worth it to me? Because, we are all here on limited time. So is this worth my time investing in this for this yield, for these contributions? Or should I be putting it towards something that's more probable, more in line with my capabilities, and something that, brings more dividends, and also that I can heavily contribute to? That's something that you gotta weigh out. How important is it to you? It's a complex thing. It's very tricky. I mean, it's in most, I wouldn't say most, in some situations it is easy to do the never give up mentality and, anything is possible, because you have like these, I guess, subjective time constraints on them. Like say if you're playing a basketball game, you're down 30 points, you got 10 minutes to go. I mean, the stats would probably say that it's improbable that you're going to be able to, overcome this lead, but it has happened, and so you can likely go off of that as motivation. But even if you didn't have that to go off of, at the end of the day, you've got 10 minutes to do it. So it's either a do or die thing, right? So it's not something where in life, you can have multiple chances to do it. You can essentially do things perpetually, i.e. until you die, you know. But this one is not like that. There's this time constraint of 10 minutes. You're either gonna do it or you're not, you know. And so you just weigh out the risk and reward, you know, from that. Now, the scenario would kind of change a bit. Say if you had 3 minutes left on the clock and then you're down 30 points. Now it becomes, okay, is it worth me, you know, expending all this energy for this one game, possibly injuring, you know, star players and things like that? Or should I strategically, you know, give up and then save that for the X amount of games that we have coming up? You know, that's something that you have to really get, I guess, good at trying to do, is being strategic. You know, giving up is okay as long as it's strategic, because it can save you a lot of, you know, a lot of time, a lot of heartache, you know. if you know, okay, how do I do things in the most efficient way and maximize my time and my efforts and energy? You know, because like I said, we all have limited time and limited resources, so it's about maximizing and working smart, you know, not about working hard and brute force. You know? So that's just kind of like an example on how you would try and engage things, you know, and things are always dynamic and different, you know. It's always hard to figure out a one solution to everything. It's gonna be up to you to kind of gauge as you go and see if what I'm giving up on is worth, you know, what I'm getting back out of it, you know. Because when you don't give up on something that's, you know, improbable, it means that you're going to be giving up on things that are probable, because you're just going to be dedicating your whole time and effort and energy and just, you know, your being into trying to get this likely unrealistic or unattainable goal. So you gotta, you know, take my man Kenny Rogers' advice.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, and know when to run.
You know, and just be smart with everything you're doing, because at the end of the day, you know, it's your life. You're not going to live forever. It's now or never, if I may remix Bon Jovi's bass, you know. So just be clever with the time that you have and the resources that you have. And like I said, it's not to say that you shouldn't work on your weaknesses and things like that, and things that may be a struggle or difficult, but it's about, you know, how do I do this strategically? Always assess your progress and then look at, okay, the time I put in, what I've given up, does this match the return that I've gotten or the contributions I've made, you know? And if it's not matching up with what you would like, or it's not aligning with probability, then maybe you should, you know, give up on it. Maybe not permanently, maybe just temporarily, until you can regroup, come up with a better plan, and then go at it again. And again, then reassess after that. Reassess your reassessment and see if it's more in line and more probable. Because otherwise, like I said, you'll be chasing a ghost that you'll never see and you'll never be able to touch. It'll just keep on, you know, keep on getting away and slipping away from you. So that's kind of like my whole mentality on the whole never giving up thing. You know, it's and anything is possible. People are leaving out key things on that one. You know, there's possibility and then there's probability, and people have different probabilities based off of, you know, their capabilities, and everyone has different capabilities, and so it's a very complex thing. Just because someone was able to do something doesn't mean that you can as well. You know, you're at different points, you have different skill sets, you have different capabilities, even though you may have similar abilities, right? And then some people just may not have those abilities at all, so they're physically capped at a certain ceiling. And so, you know, not everything is practical. And so that's the dangers with saying, oh yeah, anything is possible, implying that it's also practical. It's like, no, it's not. And then just the whole idea of, like, you know, never giving up too. It's like, people like to use that to kind of shame people into, you know, sticking through things and just grinding out. And I'm like, you know, some things are not worth sticking through and grinding out. You know, you got to know that this is it, you know, and or you need to know that this is it or this ain't it, chief. You know, you got to reassess and then find something else, because what you're doing is not working, you know, and it's taking away from other important things, such as maybe, you know, spending time with family or friends, or just even working on other probable goals. And so you need to not be afraid to give up, but, you know, give up strategically after you put in a good effort and calculated it, and now you realize, okay, it's not working out, then that's fine. But if you just given up right off the bat, like you just probably felt like, oh, I just feel like it wouldn't be worth it. Well, I mean, yeah, then that's the problem, right? You can't just give up on a feeling. You need to put some effort in. You need to get some results, some empirical results that you can compare, and then say, oh yeah, based off of this, it ain't happening. You know? And so that's kind of where my mind is at with those things, you know? Sure, anything is possible, but that does not mean that anything or that everything is probable. You know, big difference. And tangential to that, that's also why you shouldn't universally apply the whole never give up, because some things aren't probable, they're not practical, and so you are just going to be chasing like perfection that you can never reach, you know. And kind of one example that keeps coming to my mind on that is Bob Ross. You know, I love that guy. Yeah, I love that guy's show and his painting show. And I remember I was watching a few episodes, and he mentioned this a few times. It's like, you know, when you're painting, he says that once you've felt that you've accomplished what it is you want to do with that painting, like the first time, and he said you're gonna have like multiple times where you feel like, oh no, I could do this, I could do that. He's like, no, the first time you feel like this is good, stop it there, because otherwise you'll pedal the thing to death. There's always something more you can do. There's always something more you can add, and you just end up trying to chase something that you can't reach, and that's perfection, you know. And I was like, yeah, it's true. That's good advice, you know. Once you're happy with it, that's it. Stop it, put it away, and then work on something else. And then what you wanted to do for that one, do it in this one, but don't pedal that one to death, you know. You gotta move on and then improve up on the next, you know. Otherwise you'll just be stuck at one thing, chasing it, and you'll never reach it. And that's kind of like, I guess, analogous to what I've been saying, you know, just previously. Is that you'd be chasing something that you can never reach. And in doing so, you sacrifice on other, you know, more attainable goals, or, you know, sacrifice on doing other things with your time and improving in other areas. And so that's kind of just, you know, my personal opinion on the whole never giving up and anything is possible, I guess, mantra. But as always, you know, that's just my opinion, and that's the thing.